Charles Oliveira would submit Khabib Nurmagomedov in the first round.
Nation going, unable to find his range there. And Nurmagomedov.
Stoppage.
It is right there. Khabib Nurmagomedov.
There was a good kick by Escudero, but Oliveira's got all of them down.
Charles Oliveira by submission.
When the name Khabib is mentioned, it's almost synonymous with being one of the most dominant UFC fighters to ever compete in the sport. The undefeated legend couldn't be knocked out or even submitted before calling it quits on his career. But what if I told you that Charles "Do Bronx" Oliveira submits Khabib in the first round? Charles Oliveira as a fighter does not seem underrated. A number of fight fans know just how dangerous this guy is in the lightweight division. But what if I told you that apart from being one of the most dangerous lightweights, his submission game is more lethal, even more than that of the great Khabib Nurmagomedov? Oliveira holds 16 submission wins in the UFC, the most in the organization's history. On top of that, he has the most guillotine choke submissions in UFC history, but it doesn't stop there. Oliveira has racked up 46 submission attempts, making him second on the all-time list in the UFC. And get this, he's tied for the third longest submission streak in UFC history with 4. The Brazilian jiu-jitsu wizard, what sets Oliveira apart is his versatility. He's got a whole arsenal of finishing holds, and he's not afraid to sacrifice position to catch his opponents in a submission. Khabib's undefeated record is built on smothering control. He takes his opponents down, locks them in a vice grip, and rains down punishment until they either tap or the referee steps in. Nobody has been able to stop him, but here's the thing. Khabib has never faced someone like Charles Oliveira, who thrives in the chaos of the ground game. Oliveira is the UFC's all-time leader in submissions for a reason. He's not just comfortable on the mat, he is deadly.
Forearm shiver there from Oliveira. This is it. Who's letting it go? Big right from Oliveira. Hammer fist.
From guillotines to triangle chokes to arm bars, Oliveira has an arsenal of submissions he can unleash in seconds. When you think of Khabib's reign as lightweight champion, there's one fighter who came incredibly close to ending it: Dustin Poirier. Going into the fight, Poirier knew who he was up against, so Poirier, rather than relying solely on his striking, did his homework. He knew Khabib's biggest strength was his grappling, so he made a conscious effort to prepare for that aspect of the fight, and that nearly paid off in a big way. In one of the most nerve-wracking moments of their fight, Poirier managed to lock Khabib in a guillotine choke.
But turning to a hip the way he's doing buys him some air.
For a brief second, fans all over the world had to hold their breath to see what would happen next. It looked like the undefeated Russian might finally be in danger, but Khabib slipped out and managed to take control of the fight back.
Pops his head out, and it's not really, that's in. That's in.
Poirier's submission attempt was the closest Khabib came to being dethroned. If Poirier had managed to hold on tighter or for a few more seconds, we'd never know what might have happened. Imagine if Poirier could manage to do that to Khabib, what Oliveira, one of the most dangerous submission artists in UFC history, would do. Unlike Poirier, Oliveira is a completely different beast when he locks in that submission. Most times when he gets his hands on you, the fight is often over quickly. He doesn't wait to impose his will, he looks to finish you. Ask Dustin Poirier, the man who almost got Khabib to tap. Against Poirier, Oliveira absorbed an early knockdown, but wasted no time bouncing back. He landed a huge right hand, followed by a lightning-fast transition to Poirier's back. It wasn't long before he slapped on a rear naked choke, forcing Poirier to tap out. What Khabib needed 2 to 3 rounds to do, Oliveira did in just minutes. His ability to finish fights so quickly once the fight hits the ground is what sets him apart from Khabib. The first round is where Oliveira shines brightest. He's had countless first round finishes, and his ability to capitalize on early chaos is unparalleled. Khabib's wrestling pressure might overwhelm most fighters, but Oliveira's composure and creativity on the mat make him the ultimate kryptonite. If this fight ever happened, it's not hard to imagine Oliveira wrapping up Khabib's neck or arm before the clock even hits the 5-minute mark. When you look at Justin Gaethje, another top lightweight both Khabib and Oliveira had to deal with, it took Khabib 2 rounds to finally break him down. Oliveira, though, handled Gaethje way quicker. After getting knocked down early, Oliveira didn't panic at all. He came right back, landed a big right hand, and then immediately took Gaethje's back. It only took him about 3 minutes to get the rear naked choke and make Gaethje tap. While Khabib's control and pressure were almost unmatched, Oliveira's submission game is a different kind of dangerous. We also have to consider how Oliveira excels in scrambles. Khabib's game is to chain wrestle, but Oliveira's ability to transition from position to position is unmatched. He's always a step ahead, always thinking about how to capitalize. Whether it's rolling into a leg lock or transitioning to the back for a rear naked choke, Oliveira is relentless. Charles Oliveira's fight against Michael Chandler is a perfect reminder of why his ground game is a nightmare for anyone, even someone like Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Oh, back. But this
In that fight, Oliveira didn't just win, he put on a masterclass in how to dominate on the ground. His mix of technique, control, and constant pressure was on full display. Right from the first takedown, Oliveira showed he was in charge. When he got to the mount, he was thinking steps ahead, waiting for the right moment to land elbows or force Chandler to make a mistake. Oliveira knows exactly when to go for strikes, when to look for a submission, and when to let his opponent wear themselves out. In the later rounds, Chandler tried to swing things his way with heavy punches.
He's in real trouble.
Oh, Oliveira in a world of trouble early.
But Oliveira's ground game was the real game changer. Every time Chandler went in too hard, Oliveira flipped the script, took the fight to the ground, and controlled him completely. The way he transitioned positions was so smooth, like when he got Chandler's back, locked in that body triangle, and just had him stuck there.
Answer a lot of questions, because before, when things would start to happen like this is where he struggled.
Now imagine Oliveira going up against Khabib. Khabib's wrestling is like a cage. Once he's got you, you're not going anywhere.
That's it. So the UFC and US debut for Khabib Nurmagomedov goes according to plan.
But Oliveira, he's crafty. He finds openings where no one else would, moving and attacking from angles that keep you guessing. He's not the type to just get stuck.
For history, there it is, Charles Oliveira.
In the final round against Chandler, when Chandler was throwing everything he had, Oliveira stayed calm and kept control. That last takedown sealed the deal and crushed any hope Chandler had left. Watching him in those moments, you can see it's not just about defending himself. Oliveira's grappling is like a weapon. It's how he breaks his opponents down mentally and physically. One of the toughest challenges in the lightweight division is Arman Tsarukyan, known for his elite ground game. Oliveira lost on points, but he sure made life tough for Tsarukyan. The fight started with an early exchange on the feet, and Tsarukyan slipped to the mat, which gave Oliveira the perfect opportunity to jump into action. Oliveira immediately locked in a guillotine choke, and Tsarukyan's face turned bright red as he desperately tried to escape.
I was trying to clear the legs of Oliveira.
It was a dangerous moment for Tsarukyan, and he barely managed to slip out of the choke. That alone showed how dangerous Oliveira's ground game is, even against someone as skilled as Tsarukyan. The thing is, Khabib's wrestling is top tier, but Oliveira's submission game is on a whole different level. His ability to move from submission to submission is unmatched. If Oliveira had a guy like Tsarukyan, who's no slouch on the ground and still quite young, in a bad position like that, can you imagine what he'd do to Khabib? On the ground, Khabib is usually the hunter, but Oliveira would force him into unfamiliar territory by constantly attacking and creating chaos. Khabib's path to victory relies on his ability to dictate the pace and control his opponents, but against Oliveira, he'd be up against a fighter who thrives under those same conditions. Khabib's ground game is legendary, but Oliveira's transition game would have been his nightmare. If they'd ever faced off, Oliveira would have found an opening early, maybe even in the first round. He's not just trying to dominate like Khabib does, rather Oliveira's looking to finish. And that's exactly what would have happened if they fought. Oliveira would have gone for that first round submission and sealed the deal before Khabib had a chance to establish his usual control. Charles Oliveira still remains one of the top guns in the lightweight division.
Wow. Charles Oliveira does it again!
Wow!
And there are only a few options left for his next fight. We're talking potential matchups with Max Holloway or the winner of Islam Makhachev versus Arman Tsarukyan. And then, on the other hand, Khabib's living the retired retired life, soaking up the quiet time and focusing on coaching instead of fighting. He's not out there trying to make comebacks or anything. He's busy shaping the future of fighters rather than stepping back into the octagon himself. And honestly, that's totally fair, right? So that leaves fans like us to just wonder what could have been. We'll never see these two legends collide in a fight that would have likely gone down as one of the best in MMA history. The timing just isn't right, and it looks like this dream matchup is one we're going to have to file under what if forever. In the end, it's a clash of two incredible styles. But in this hypothetical battle, Oliveira's submission wizardry might just be too much for even the great Khabib to handle.
That is gonna do it!
This dude right
Who
here,
can
man.
stop Charles Oliveira?